next level of a good community or good riding center. So I'm happy to have Mary Monroe, sorry, from IMBA US and Hans Stoops from IMBA Europe that are working exactly on this topic. What's the next level of a good ride center for us? Welcome and
Thank you, Frederick. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. I'm Mary Monroe Brown, as Frederick said. Today we're going to discuss mountain bike cultures in mountain bike communities. So, as you probably know, for 30 years, IMBA has been at the forefront of access to education, trail development for mountain biking, and has helped create over 100,000 miles of trails and built relationships with land management agencies across the United States. Our mission is to create, enhance, and protect great places to ride. I live in Durango, Colorado, in the US. We have more than 300 miles of trails within 30 miles of town. And my entire career has been about getting people outside and connected to nature. I started my career at Trek Bicycles. I worked for the USOC, for the Olympic Committee, was the director of outdoor recreation for one of our states, and now help IMBA on all elements related to education, government affairs, and local organizations. And as we're evolving the organization, we have realized the opportunity of working with IMBA Europe on some elements that we'll be discussing today.
Yeah, my name is Hans Stoops. I think many of you know me. I know many of you at least. I've been working with IMBA Europe for the past three and a half years, I guess, is pretty soon, as the advocacy officer, employee number 3 after Mark and Lauren. My role is to kind of support our member organizations, and then any of the kind of advocacy and access work that we need to do on a European level, including communicating with other outdoor recreational organizations in Europe and collaborating with protected area organizations and similar. So anytime you have questions or needs from your own communities, don't hesitate to reach out to IMBA Europe, and we can come and help support that. Before working at IMBA Europe, I was a project manager at Cykelfrämjandet, the Swedish national member organization of IMBA Europe. I was there for about 6 years, working on projects ranging from bicycle tourism to teaching new people how to ride bicycles, and of course lots of mountain bike projects, especially related to trails and trail development. So it's been a journey, but I'm very happy to be working with IMBA Europe now. I'm originally from the United States, but I've been living in Sweden since 1998 and currently based in Stockholm.
Perfect, thank you. So we know, especially since COVID, that in the US, people seek place-based recreation that includes places to live, work, and play. And we know that elevates our physical, mental, and social well-being. And there's great information from today that we'll be sharing that speaks to connecting to nature and its importance and how that improves our health and our communities. And we'll talk through that. We're good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, what makes a great mountain bike town beside the trails is the community. A strong trail organization, political will, plus what you do off the trail. It includes coffee shops and bike shops. And IMBA has spent a lot of time over the last year and a half analyzing what are the best resources we can provide in order to meet our vision to get more trails on the ground. And one way we can analyze where the community is at in order to understand their level of professionalism is through an assessment and designation system. So we'll talk a little bit now on communities that are developing true total trail communities. One piece of that is Trails Are Common Ground, and that promotes positive trail interaction through kindness, awareness, and knowledge that welcomes all people on the trail. Is that you?
Good, yes. And beyond just the trail network itself, of course, there's a whole range of other qualities which bring that are important for developing a strong trail community. You need to have good buy-in from people from all different levels, beyond just the riders themselves, but also into more city administration and management. but involving as well people from all across the spectrum, as we've been talking about all week here so far. You need to have good trail infrastructure, but also good signage to help people find their way around, maintenance opportunities, bike shops, as well as other kinds of services such as food and beverage and accommodation that are bicycle friendly.
So now we'll give you a few global examples of where we think that's working well.
We've heard from before, a lot of people here are presenting good examples from their own regions, but we'd like to talk a little bit about Sheffield, which has, I think, a global reputation as being a strong mountain bike, having a strong mountain bike culture. It's based primarily on the trail networks that are available in the city, in and around the city itself. The city itself is, I think, 1/3 of the city is inside of a national park. And so there's a lot of good trail opportunities there. There's also, of course, a very strong tradition of racing. So there's a strong legacy of mountain biking in the community as well. But beyond all of that, you've got a number of different initiatives which have involved social impact and ensuring that more people get an opportunity to experience the joys and the benefits of mountain biking. And these were shared in the document that was produced over the summer, Why Aren't You Mountain Biking, which I strongly encourage people to go and find. It's got a lot of great examples of how to engage the community more in your mountain biking projects. You can also learn more by looking up Ride Sheffield.
You may have heard of a place in the United States called Crested Butte, Colorado. It's home of the Mountain Bike Hall of Fame in the U.S. They're located pretty close to a major highway, which aids actually in people getting there, how easy it is to stay there and ride there. They have a very strong local org that plans, builds, and maintains trails. And in addition, they have a youth cycling program that they hire each year to do trail maintenance. And they have really shifted the political will of the town over the last 2 decades to bring more collaboration to an area that had a little bit of struggles. So we thought Crested Butte is also a great example of a total trail community.
There's lots of other great examples, of course, from Europe. Those who attended the summit last year in Austria got to experience some of the work that's being done there. Austria is a great example because they've been very structured and organized in developing the advocacy community to establish the opportunity to ride bicycles on the trails that exist in Austria. Austria has some advocacy or some access rights issues, which that community is starting to address in a very constructive way, and that's a great example. But we also saw how some of that work is being done on the ground with the trail building that's being done outside of Vienna, and that was a very positive experience. I don't think we need to talk more about Scotland for anyone here, but the Developing Mountain Bike in Scotland, of course, is kind of the prime example of showing what mountain biking can be and how mountain biking advocacy can look by engaging with beyond the trail community, working with academia, with industry, to address all the mountain biking as a complete package. And of course, Denmark has a strong tradition of volunteer trail building and maintenance, and is also a great example of how the community can give back to the trails.
Thank you. I'll talk just a little bit more about an initiative that IMBA was a founding member of. It's called Trails Are Common Ground, which is a coalition of people, businesses, and trail advocacy groups working together to create a safe, inclusive, and respectful environment for anyone who steps, rides, or rolls onto the trail anywhere. And our approach leaves behind finger wagging and blaming and shaming in favor of resources that help people become better trail citizens and give communities and agencies tools to manage and improve their trails. There is a specific website at trailsarecommonground.com if you'd like to read more about it. We'd also now like to talk a little bit about the total ecosystem and that approach through our trail development process. So this is a staged process of how we get trails on the ground. It's not always in the order that I'm going to deliver it, because you can start and stop in different places depending on where your community is at. But we've been working on launching new assessments and designations that help communities understand their current state and understand where they want to go and how to get there, whether that's a trail town or a ride center, which our assessments and designations will be relaunching in 2026. So this is the total trail development process. There are common steps every successful community takes. And as I said, it's in various orders of development. So the first step is engagement, and that's the process of establishing meaningful relationships with individuals and community leaders to further trail development and strengthen the trail community. This relationship building process usually begins with a strategic plan and key partnerships that continue to develop organically as new connections are made. Engagement is not an isolated step in the trail development process. It flows through the project and continues beyond, so it's a living document. Successful engagement results in strong and positive partnerships that will strengthen advocacy efforts for trails. As you all probably know, funding is the capital required to create and maintain trails and the surrounding infrastructure. The funding process evaluates and engages the best way to obtain dollars from various sources, donations, grants, federal government, among others. And funding is needed at various pathways throughout the trail development process, including seed funding for plans, construction funding, and operations and maintenance costs. Each trail project has its own best approach to fundraising based on the land managers, the local or government parties, and available opportunities. And most trail projects are funded through a combination of these resources. Access is the process of obtaining and protecting explicit permissions and designations from the appropriate authorities to engage in mountain biking on specific lands. If you have a piece of land in your sights, the first step is to learn more about the land parcel by contacting the land manager. Land managers work at the government level: city, county, state, federal, municipal, tribal. And most of these government entities have master plans that define and approve the available land uses. So it's important to learn what already exists, and in doing this, you can build a relationship with the land manager and discuss your vision for trail development. And these last two are usually the key things. If you don't have access and you don't have funding, those are the places where people get stuck. And a trail assessment evaluates an area of interest in regard to physical landscape, characteristics, and land ownership. Community connectivity is what is present in order for recreation, facilities, and other resources. The assessment focuses on the current status and the existing conditions that will inform trail planning and development. Assessments include multiple processes that might survey trail by trail, foot by foot, or build a broader feasibility study to understand what's available. Trail planning is building upon your vision by showcasing a high level of many possibilities within a landscape. Plans become a guide and a reference tool for the community by incorporating assessment information, findings from site visits and field work, and stakeholder and community input.
Okay. The design process adds the details that lead to that on-trail experience. So this is the stage where you determine the trail alignment, you identify where it's going to be in the woods or on the site, and the different features that might be incorporated, like drops, berms, rocks that, rock gardens, for example. Yeah. And after design, of course, you need to build the trail itself. This is determined partly by the resources and what kind of abilities you have, whether it's going to be a hand-built trail or built using different machine processes, perhaps with professionals that are brought in. This, of course, can be the trail. It could be a bike park, a skills loop, or any other kind of trail infrastructure. And finally, stewardship is helping the land management partners with the maintenance, promotion, and programming to ensure that the trails and landscape continue to provide good experiences for the end user. Stewardship ensures that mountain bikers, trail users, and coming generations will continue to enjoy these experiences long into the future.
And this is a place where we're seeing in the U.S. that if you have an organization with a paid crew leader or paid crew leaders, that they can then manage unpaid volunteers. And that is a great way to leverage people who want to help under the guidance of a paid crew leader who has the certification and the ability to lead the volunteers to get the exact work done that you need to get done, rather than just whimsically letting people out on the trail and then you're not really sure of the outcome that you're going to achieve. So this is a little video we're going to show you that talks about how a vision needs to happen from the community. It includes some of the things we talked about with trail diversity and all of the elements that ladder up to assessments and designations that we'll be discussing. This is in Arizona.
What was clear was that all of the users and the Forest Service recognized that there was a high demand for trails.
Do you have anything more to say about this?
Well, I was able to ride these trails in spring, and they are as fun as it looks on the video. They were built by Trail Solutions. It's a trail building arm of IMBA. And they're so fun, and riders of all levels were there. The local youth cycling group came out. We saw about 40 or 50 kids riding, people of all ages. It was super fun and great trails, no lift access. So you ride up at a grade of about 8 to 10%. And then the descent was all these flow trails and berm style trails, and at various levels, green, blue, and black. Very well done.
So we at IMBA Europe are, of course, very impressed and admire the work our colleagues do in the United States. We're organized slightly differently, of course, in Europe, and work slightly differently, but we do try to coordinate our efforts as much as possible. Many of you have probably seen this slide before. It's kind of the core strategy that IMBA Europe tries to work around. We believe that mountain biking has all kinds of benefits for society and the environment, and we believe that the best way to ensure that more people get to enjoy mountain biking and that society gets all those benefits is to provide better recreational infrastructure for it. That will get more people on bikes, and it will be a beneficial circle of improving conditions for mountain biking and getting more people mountain biking, and ensuring that brings to more benefits to society. But of course, that better recreational infrastructure is a key point that many people stumble on because it is an expensive one as well. It's something that is going to require a lot of resources, and it's something that we as mountain bike advocates also need to try to find good arguments for and try to encourage others to see that these investments are worth making. And so the trail-friendly community self-assessment, this is an older program which IMBA in the United States has moved on from, but this is something that's also been an inspiration for us and how we can offer similar services in Europe. But we do acknowledge as well that there are certain things that are perhaps different in Europe than in the United States. There's going to be different kind of values that are perhaps going to be reflected in what we consider to be a trail-friendly community. For example, a big parking lot is very important. It's especially for a car-based society when you need to get to the trails by car, but perhaps in Europe we would like to see train access, like better public transportation access to trail networks that will help people of all ages be able to get to a trail center without the need of a motor vehicle. And so many of you were probably present last year in Vienna. We had a workshop on the last day where we kind of recruited ideas, inspiration, knowledge from our member organizations to what a European assessment survey might involve. What kind of questions are important for our community, and they were kind of baked down into these basic subcategories: municipal support, a buy-in from the regional government, basically, having an enthusiastic mountain bike community that was, representing the full breadth of mountain biking experience. Support to that community from the municipality and from other actors within the community. Having accessible trails that are accessible on many different levels, both available that are easily to reach, but also providing experiences for all different types of riders. Trails close to home, of course, is a thing that we all talk about all the time. Ensuring that people can ride to the trails or can get there easily on public transportation. That the trail infrastructure itself is of high quality, and that it keeps up with current trends, so that you're not kind of bogged down with trails that are not interesting for the riding community anymore. So these were the basic values which the mountain bike community here in Europe kind of consolidated in that workshop last year. And when we kind of look at the European, with those questions alongside the IMBA US assessment tool, we found that about half of the questions are basically equivalent. So a lot of the values are basically straight across, that these are universal internationally, but there are certain things, questions where things differed slightly. And that has to do primarily with how European countries are organized, and things like population density and the like that also come into play. So a lot of similarities between the work that IMBA Europe and IMBA US does, but of course there are differences as well. So I think many of you probably also have participated in an online workshop, where I presented a very early version of the self-assessment survey. Since then, I've changed tools again because IMBA in the States was using now SurveyMonkey, a different service than we were using originally. But we were able from that online workshop to kind of get your input on the weighting of the different questions and how much these different questions should be valued against each other when coming up with a final score. So the goal of this assessment survey is to basically provide a municipality or a region with an idea of what are you doing right, what are you doing wrong, are you a mountain bike friendly community today? If not, where are you lacking, and what can be done to try to provide better riding experiences and services for your mountain bike community. And so it's now available on SurveyMonkey. It's quite straightforward. It doesn't take that long, I think, but it's still very much in a beta version. So a lot of the questions are just basically simple yes/no questions. Is outdoor recreation in your community primarily concentrated in protected areas? Is off-road cycling generally permitted wherever outdoor recreation is permitted in your area? Do cyclists in general have good access to green spaces? And these questions will then be scored, different points according to the weighting that we kind of decided as a group was most important. There are other questions where you can have multiple answers. For example, this one where you have what kind of extra services do you have available to your mountain bike community? If you have a pump track or a lift assist bike park or maybe an indoor bike park, all of these will also contribute to the final score. There are also questions, I think this next one, there are questions that have an open answer like this. How much blue trail is in your region, for example? These are currently not scored. So there's a lot of questions that there's simply not a good scoring mechanism for, or because the community might not have such a great grasp of this answer, it's not really worth scoring it. But by providing space for them to give this kind of answer, when we go back and observe the answers, can understand better the community when we've reached. Besides helping these communities determine what level they might be in, is providing us with access to these municipalities, getting an email address of someone who is clearly interested in mountain biking and wants to provide a better experience, and then being able to see a little bit on the back end, better understanding what the current state of trails in their community is when we reach out and talk to them. So by doing the survey, you'll get an automated response. You'll get a little score at the end. Trail Beginner, for example, this welcomes people to the mountain bike community and gives some little tips about where they might decide to go forward. They'll also be able to get to see how the scoring worked and where they were particularly lacking, perhaps in one aspect or another. So the self-assessment survey, as I said, is in beta, and I encourage people to go ahead and give it a go. By doing the survey, it helps us as well develop it a little bit more. The scoring might have to be adjusted a little bit just to better address the reality of the scene. The goal right now is we don't want to have a lot of excellent communities yet. Of course we want to have a few excellent communities to be able to provide as good examples. But it's better for us that the scores are an accurate reflection of what the current state actually is in these communities, rather than letting a lot of people pat themselves on the back. So please go ahead and do the survey yourself, or give it to a land manager or a city official that you might know who is interested in this, and then provide us some feedback, because this is something it's important for us to continue to develop. Yeah?
Thank you. So I'll just give you a little bit background of assessments and designations. So what we've realized over time, Frederick started talking about how things have changed over the last, even 5 years. And so what we've noticed is that communities were stuck on very common spaces. So the trail development process outlines, okay, these are the things that all need to be done across the board. As I said, not necessarily in an order, but they're all very common from our research and conversations with people. So we have that. But we also have lots of organizations and communities that weren't even reaching out because they were so stuck, they didn't even know what to do. And so what the assessments and designations do, we'll be launching 4. One will be a trail town assessment, which is the evolving of this bicycle-friendly or trail-friendly community assessment. And that will basically tell the trail champion in the town, this is about where we are, and this is what we need to do to be designated as a trail town. And then that helps them come into our ecosystem internally within IMBA, and our various experts can then help nurture them to get to that next level. Then we'll have a Ride Center relaunch, and we'll be working with Hans on what that will look like for IMBA globally. And that's really used more for tourism visitor destinations to market your community as a ride center. And that will have a badging system attached to it. And that will be released in 2026. We'll also be relaunching IMBA Epics, and we'll be partnering with a mapping partner in the States. And that will be crowdfunded, crowdsourced. So the crowd, as people look at the mapping app, they'll say, oh, this is a great area, this qualifies as an IMBA Epic. And then lastly, the trail organizations are such a key part of how we get all of this done that we'll have a black diamond designation. So the org will take the assessment, They'll see what they need to do within their org to uplift themselves to actually earn a designation. And so through all of that, we're creating a flow of conversation that it doesn't matter if you're stuck. We can help you get unstuck. And that was one key piece of all of this that we've realized. So we've spent a fair bit of time really thinking through this. And that's why we redid that assessment. It's like, it's not quite hitting the mark. And so once we're all ready with this, then we'll launch this in next year. And we're really looking forward to collaborating globally and to start to see results of meeting our vision, which is to get more natural surface trails on the ground across the US and around the world, because that's really what's going to change these communities. And what we talked about, that a community that is really a great community has more than just trails. They have a bike shop, they have a coffee shop, they have places to stay, so you can land someplace, stay there and experience it. And that's the vision that we're after. So, so with all of this, we can open it up to questions and conversation.
It's important for us at IMBA Europe as well that our values, which align so well with IMBA in the United States, that messaging and that identity is recognizable worldwide. That yes, of course, we are trying to represent the organization in Europe, but that the values and the things that we represent are easily identifiable through IMBA wherever it is in the world.
So a big thank you to Mary. And then I think just keep the conversation alive and share the knowledge that is in the